Most people run to escape something, and Matthew Johnson used to, but now he's running to surrender.
I spent so many years running from everything, and then now that I finally got to where I am, like now I'm running to everything. I'm running towards everything.
18 days, 841 miles, a fractured fibula, and a mission bigger than pain.
I had this mentality where I was like, I'm not leaving this unless my leg is snapped in half or I am dead. There are so many people in this world who will never be able to experience this. So many veterans that don't have legs. So many people that can't feel their legs, and they'll never understand the type of pain that my feet were giving my body. And I was like, every single step is for them.
This is Matthew Johnson. It sounds like you spent a lot of your life looking in the rearview mirror, looking over your shoulder, what's going to come after me, who's going to hit me, who's going to rear end me. And now what I hear you saying is you're looking through the windshield. You're looking forward and just charging the path forward. What experiences in your life had you looking in the rearview mirror though? Because something must have led to that.
For sure. Like, there was just, and I don't know, there was just things that, like, I thought that I grew up normal. Mm-hmm. And, as I become an adult and as I've learned about like what life looks like now, like it just didn't happen like that. Like, my mom had me when she was 17, and thank God, like, my grandmother had a good job, and my mom was working at a gas station and at a financial place in Des Moines. So she would literally go work a 9 to 5, come back, and then work overnight at the gas station. So I spent a shit ton of time with my grandparents or at my aunt and uncle's. And it was like I just kept bouncing around from place to place because my mom was just like, she had to get things done. And then she got into a really bad relationship with her ex-husband now, and like got so bad that my relationship got so bad with my mom that I didn't want to be around this man, that I moved in with my grandparents. Like I told my mom, I was 12 years old. I don't know, it's kind of cool you're here. Hey, how are you? 12? Yeah, I was 12, and I was like, I'm not going with you.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not, because he was traveling, government contractor. He was going to Tennessee. I was like, I'm not going. And because he was abusive, and I was trying to get away from that. So then I moved in with my grandparents, and then that, like, that was stressful on me as well at the same time, because like I'm living with my grandparents, and it was like, oh, like you're not my mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, then my grandfather was trying to help me do my homework, and I'm like, well, you're not my dad. I don't have a dad. Like I don't need a dad. And like I remember that like mentality. And then I finally made the decision 15 years old that I was going to move out there with them when they were now in Virginia. Moved out there, mentally and physically abusive. And then we moved back to Iowa, and that abuse kind of followed. The grandparents were following. Like my best times were with my grandparents, but it was so sporadic. Like, and we were just lucky that like, grandfather was a doctor, grandmother was working as a nurse. Like, I don't even think that like we wouldn't even, there were so many times I think that like, they were forking over money to me, to my mom, to help us. And it just felt like, you're always living in this, like, you're nervous, like, and I feel like all of that combination of that environment just kind of led me as an adult. Then you get into the military, and you don't know who's going to scream at you, yell at you, beat your ass at any time. Mm-hmm. And, so then it's like, now I'm 19, 20, 21 years old like that. And then, I got into this marriage very young. And, when I met my ex-wife, I think she was 18 or 19 and I was 21, 22. And it was like, we were so young, we just fought all the time, and that was normal. Like we loved each other, life was good, but like it was just fighting at all times. And, so then that kind of turned me into an adrenaline junkie. I raced go-karts growing up, and then I started racing like big, like professionally racing cars. Still with a full-time job. It wasn't my full-time job, but it was, I was racing with the big guys. And, then I was chasing adrenaline. And then I think that's kind of what led me into the running. But it was the running that flipped the switch from all of that to like, because like I just had a podcast the other day where I said this, where I'm like, I spent so many years running, 2020, 21, 22, where I was running, 23, where I was running from everything. Yeah. And then now that I finally got to where I am, like now I'm running to everything. I'm running towards everything. So it was running that flipped it, but it was all of that that kind of allowed me to, that made me kind of, live in that chaos and toxicity. My environment outside of being at my grandparents, my environment was never good.
No, I heard a story about when you snuck out
Yes.
and then you got back through the window.
Yeah, gosh,
Tell
I
me
told
about
that on
that.
Judd's podcast. Yeah, that was the only podcast I'd ever talked about that on. So we lived in a double wide trailer in small town Iowa. And the biggest thing about my mom's ex-husband was like he was very like it was always a contest, like who was the biggest man. And at that point, like I was becoming a man, and there was a lackluster of love between him and my mom cared about me, and there was
Right.
that's what led to this. And I snuck out one night, and I golfed at the time. It's funny because I golfed in high school, and I propped the window up with like a 9-iron, and I snuck out the window. One of my friends drove over from like the town over. We went and like hung out with these girls, and I come back at 2 o'clock in the morning and climb in my window. It's funny now. It
Yeah.
was just not funny in the moment,
No.
but it is so funny now because it just like I can't like my mind has tried to block that out, but like, and I think that's why I kind of laugh it off to try to make it funny. But I climb in my window, and as soon as I'm coming in, and I still remember like how my room was set up. My bed was like right here in high schooler bed, like it wasn't like on a bed
Right.
frame, and he was like standing on my bed. I didn't see him because of the curtains, but as I walk in, he presses a gun right to the temple of my head, and I knew right away like I knew what it was, and I just stopped, and I just sat there because I don't. I mean, when that happens, you just don't really know what to do. And he was like, you're such a fucking piece of shit. Like I could like and the quote was like where I remember is he goes, I could kill you right now, and I could tell them that someone was breaking in, or I could tell them that I thought someone was breaking in. And like that, this was very close to like the end of that relationship with them. Like it was all going south. And I truly thought in that moment, I was like, yeah, this guy, this is the hinge. Like, this is him going, he's off the hinges. Like, this is it. I'm dead. And I think that was the only thing I can remember that was said. And then he just pulled it away and walked out of my room.
What did you do after that? Did you tell your mom? Did you go live with grandma and grandpa again?
I never told my mom that story. Did you even know that story? Yep. I didn't tell anybody.
Wow.
I didn't tell because I was nervous. I was nervous of the repercussions because like within that same time frame, I remember he bashed my mom. Like I watched him bash my mom's face off of the front of a car and knocked her tooth out. I watched him, and this is all like when it was just blowing up. I watched him drag her to her bedroom by her hair and like lock the door. And I didn't know what was going on. And and then in that same time frame, like my mom OD'd on pills because she was just trying to do anything she could to not live in that environment. And then she was taken away for 2 to 3 days and was in a hospital. And, I was never mad at her for that because I knew, at that age for myself, I was like, she didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
And like you can't rationalize, oh my my kids are here, and like what the fuck, what are you gonna do? And I found her literally in the kitchen and face down, and this was all like once that we came back, like I left Arkansas, went to Virginia. Once we came back from Virginia, and her ex-husband got back to Iowa, like shit just started getting very bad because he was back in like the environment. And I don't really know the backstory, but I think that from what I've gathered, like he was kind of involved in some drug use before we left. And then when we got back, I think he got back into it because now he is completely strung out. Like he is, the last we know, he was all methed out, and he was a massive guy, like
Yeah.
6'4", 300 pounds, like kind of chubby. And now like I saw him at some point after, like years later, I saw him like in this town, and he was skinny.
Wow.
And like just
Yeah.
didn't look like himself at all, and was like talking to me through the like life was good, and talking to me through my car window. And I remember like calling my mom, I was crying, and I'm like what is going on? I'm like 19 at that point. And so I think that there was just he was cheating on my mom, and it was that's what led me to the military. Because then we get into this, then my mom, he leaves, and within the next couple of years, I think I was 16 when that actually happened, and 17 to 18, then my mom kind of starts dating again, and she was, very troubled now that I'm looking back at 30, and just dating the wrong people. And like, shit was just like, she dated this dude who was stealing pills out of her pill container, and he was getting all twacked out on pills. And this other guy who had this was crazy, had just got out of prison, and she was dating him. And then I was always like her safety net. And then I had a really bad relationship with her because like she would date these guys, and then like she would get in these bad situations, and she would call me and be like, oh, like help me.
Yeah.
And I remember a time where she was dating this guy, and like he was off the rails, and like locked her in the car, and like was like driving her out on like back roads, and she's texting me, and she's like, I don't know if he's gonna kill me, or like, because she had trauma.
Yeah.
And then of course I had so then I had all this trauma.
Yeah.
And so that's like still shit today that I fucking have to work through with everything in my life.
Well, what's interesting is you almost had to become the parent at moments, right? Like, save me from
because
this guy.
because I have a little brother.
Yeah. Save me. Watch out for your brother and stuff. But yet you still have these incredible core values or things that drive you, right? Like, one of the things that I recognize is you seem like a very loyal human being. And so I guess my question would be, do you think the environment you grew up in gave you those core values, or did you think your mom and your family instilled those core values into you?
It was my family. Like, because growing up, being with my grandparents, like it was like family. Who is there is so important. Mm. And like I remember there like just conversations where my mom's like, you get these weird conversations when you're 18 years old. And my mom's like, yeah, like, you kill somebody, I'm going to help you hide the body. Like, and it was like, I mean,
I got your back.
Yeah, it was like, we are like, as a family, like, we're down bad for each other. And it's like, if you do wrong and it's not that wrong, like I'll cover for you.
Wow.
Like that's how I was raised. And, I feel like that was, that trickled down from, generations in my family. Because when I look at, my grandparents are the same way, my great-grandparents were the same way. Like, it's just a small, tight-knit community that we lived in. Like, on the street that my grandparents lived on, it was my great-great-grandmother. And then right next door lived her sister. And then right next door lived one of her daughters, wow, who is the sister of my grandmother. And then right down the road lived my uncle. And then about 2 blocks down the road is where my mom and I moved to. Like we were all so close. And then I feel like, obviously like getting into the military, like, that just reinstills like you always have the back of the person to the left and right of you. Mm-hmm. And, having that base foundation, and then getting in the military and really realizing like what brotherhood and sisterhood is, that really, built that. I had the foundation, and then we built the house on the core values. Because even now, I'll tell this story because I know that my manager told it to somebody. She reached out to me. No, I had a friend that was like, hey, you need to hire a manager. When I hit, I hit like 100K on social media. And he's like, this is my manager. I'm like, cool. So I get on a call, and like, I didn't even read the contract. Like, she's a nice lady, like has like 2 girls, I think, lives in San Diego. And she's like, yeah, like I built Organifi. You familiar with Organifi? Yeah. She built their influencer platform to millions and millions of dollars in revenue. And she's like, then I just decided I want to do it on my own. I'm like, cool, you're hired. Like, I didn't even look at the contract. I just signed it, and I just moved on. 3 months in, like, we didn't have a single deal. And she's on the phone with me, and I still remember exactly where I was at. And she's on the phone, and she's like, you need to find somebody else. She's like, I can't, I'm trying. And she goes, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. She's like, I can't get you a deal. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, we are like we're going to figure it out. And I didn't realize that hit her so hard. Until we talked about it the other day. And she's like, I tell people that story, because we went from zero to $50,000 a month in a year.
When she already told you, find someone else, I can't do this, but you still wanted to bet on her.
Yeah. Because at that point I was like, no, and that's kind of where I realized that apparently not everyone's like that. Because I was like, no, we made a deal. Like, we're going to make this work together. And, same thing with my assistant. Like, I hired this assistant, and, it was like, oh, like, you hired this accountant, and the accountant can do this, and the accountant sends invoices, and like, do you need the assistant, back in, and I was like, we were talking on the way here, and like, Hannah hit me up on Instagram, I put out, I was like, hey, like might need a virtual assistant. And Hannah hit me up. I was like, hey, I'll work for you. And I was like, you know, she's like $10 an hour. And I'm like, cool. This is like a year ago. And, you know, I hired her and I was paying her like $50 a month. And then, you know, that turned into 500 and then it turned into 1,000 and she learned how to be an assistant. But like at times it was like, I don't need this assistant.
Right.
But I was like, well, I already committed to this person. Like, and she's, you know, so I was like, when you're my people, like you're always my people.
Right.
Like I know when I decide that I make it, like I know who's going to be there with me. And then you attract people like that. And, you know, that's like, I'm probably going way forward here, but just to say, you know, to make a reference, like I was talking to Jelly, and Jelly told me, he's like, when I got out of prison, he's like, I bought a van, and he was like, I was going to go on tour, and he's like, I was going to figure it out. He's like, I knew I could rap. He's like, I was going to figure it out. And he goes, I went around to all my friends, and I was like, get in this van. I was like, we're gonna do it. And literally his words, he's like, I think it was 13 of them motherfuckers got in that van. And he goes, and all 13 of them are now rich.
Wow.
You know, and like that, like it's that vibe right there. Like it's like, who is down with me? Like, you know, if you're down with me, you're going to work for me and you want $10 an hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, like my manager worked for free day and night trying to get me deals for 4 or 5 months. And then now she's making 10 grand a month.
Wow.
You know, like that is so important to me. Like my friends are important to me.
Yeah, like one of your best friends is your content guy, your video guy, right?
Yeah, literally, I have one other friend, like I have my adult friend, Jamie from back home, who I like became friends with through racing, and like that's like my adult best friend. But when I look at Drew, like Drew's the best friend that I've ever had in my life.
The ride or die.
Yeah, like I include him on things and it's like, you know, are you in or are you out? And it's like, well, I'm out. And it's like, no, you're already in.
Yeah.
Like everything. Like, you know, even including him on the, you know, I had already, like, if I'm like, hey, if I'm going to start this company, I'm like, you're going to get 25% equity because you're going to be the content guy and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, he's like, I don't know. Like, he's like, maybe I'd rather just like get paid for the, you know. And I'm like, no, dude, you're already in. I'm like, you're already like you don't have a choice. You're already in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that was a cool, because he used to work for BPN, and you know, I was very selfish with that relationship at first because I was like, I need this guy.
Yeah.
But he did the same thing to me that I would do to others, because he during that time you've definitely done your research, so you know when I was sleeping on the floor and I had no money,
but a California King sheet.
But I did, and then I had my California King. Going into August of 23, like I had no money, and I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go do the Leadville 100. I'm like, I need somebody to shoot this. We had shot before. We had met 4 or 5 times. We had shot once. Like we'd never hung out.
Right.
We had shot once, and I'm like, hey, like I need someone to come out. And he's like, okay. And I was like, I want him to podcast about shit like this because it is so funny to hear him talk about it. I had this like $500 brand deal from this CBD rub. And I was like, I got a $500 deal. I'm like, you come out. I'm like, you know, then they'll pay me the 500 and I'll pay you the 500. And for some reason he said, yeah. And I don't even know why, because at the time, like he's making thousands of dollars off of, you know, day rates.
Right.
And he came out and he stayed in Airbnb. I put 7 people in like a 2-bedroom Airbnb because I had no money and I couldn't pay for anybody to come out. Like I just paid for the Airbnb, and he didn't charge me a single dollar. Wow. Like we did that race. He didn't charge me, you know, to drive out. He didn't charge me to shoot. We had content the day before. We had content the day of. We had content the day after, and he didn't charge me anything because he knew in that moment like I didn't have it. Right. But I'm hoping, and I don't know, because like he is very like he's not emotional at all. Like I am emotional. So like if I had this conversation with him, he'd be like, "Shut the fuck up! Like don't talk to me about it." But like I think he knew where I was going, and the same thing as you know, I think now of Nick Daniel, who hit me up and he was like, I remember right where I was when I was running, when we had the conversation, is he goes, I know you're, because he wanted to like me to hire him full time. Drew is all of my big stuff.
Right.
I needed the guy for like the little things, like the reels, and Nick's like, I want to do that. He goes, I don't care what the price is. He goes, I know where you're going. And, and then we settled on what the price was in the, to make YouTube videos, to do some ad revenue split, so we didn't have to pay so much up front, because, he's like, I know you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And like, those are the only people I want.
People that bet on you because you're betting on yourself.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And people that are like, that come to me and they're like, hey, let's do it this way because I know where you're going. Mm-hmm. Because I know for sure, I can point at every single person, and I know, like, I don't even know what I'm going to do to get there, but I'm going to get to that point where I have so much fucking money that I don't know what to do with, and all I'm going to use it for is to take care of people. Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to do. And I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I just know in my heart, like, I'm that type of person that, like, whether even they need it or not, like, Drew's dad, Drew has so much knowledge on investing, and he does all of this type of, like, he don't need nothing. Mm-hmm. But like, I know for sure that it's like, hey, in that moment, like, what do you need? What can I give you? Like, you were there, like, and yeah, I mean, yeah, like, that's like we had this random conversation yesterday where I was like, yeah, talking to my grandfather who's here right now. And I'm like, yeah, like, if you move down, I'm like, if it's in 5 years, I could definitely float you. We could do like the down payment to make sure you guys can get down here. And then, like, whether, do they need it? No.
Yeah.
But like, how can I help in that moment? Cause I'm like, 5 years from now, I'm like, if I 10X'd my yearly income in a year, can I 500X that in 5?
Yeah.
Because I've already seen it's possible. So I'm not scared.
Yeah. Well, what's cool about that is I believe that our life is in direct proportion to the quality of questions we ask ourselves. And so, like, you're asking yourself questions of, like, who do I have to become? Who do I have to meet? Like, I know it's possible. The question is just, who do I have to become on this journey so that I can bring grandma and grandpa down, so I can bring my friends along on the journey.
Yeah.
How in the hell did you meet Jelly Roll?
Dude, the grace of God is crazy. So I get this random in 2023 when I'm like grinding on social media, and I'm like, I'll coach, ultras, marathons. Like, I have these accolades. I get this guy, he books a call. I hop on the call, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, yeah, like, he goes, I want to run around the island of Bali. And at the time, like, I didn't even have a multi-day event like in my head. And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like, I coach you to that, Yeah. And this is 23, and he wanted to do it in 23, and he's like, my training's kind of rough. He's like, I'm on tour. And I was like, oh, like, you're in a band. I'm like, that's cool, bro. Like, just thinking this little like rock band. And he's like, no, he goes, I just recently won Chef of the Year for the UFC. And he's like, and I also, I'm personal chef to Jelly Roll. That was literally the exact sound I made, where I was like, why are you calling me? Like, and even to the point, he was my very first ever client that paid 6 months up front.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And that was the last time he ever paid me, because like we became buds. And that was 23 into 24. So he ended up not being able to run around Bali in 23, got busy with tour. 24 got busy with tour. He hits me up. We chat maybe once every 2-3 months. He hits me up in January, and he's like, Jelly's on this weight loss journey. He wants to lose weight. He's kind of playing with the idea of actually training for this 5K down in Tampa that he did last year. He goes, he also wants to launch like a run club. And he's like, I think that you'd be like this great person that we can ping ideas off of. He's like, would you be willing to hop on a call? And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, thinking it's like with Ian.
Right.
And so then I get this email of 5 different people, and sure enough, there is a Jason DeFord on this email, and I'm like, oh my god, like, that's Jelly Roll. So it's 8 p.m. and Amanda's sitting up in our office, and she's like this with her phone. Yeah. She's like recording me sitting at the computer, and sure enough, pop, everyone pops in, Jelly pops in. And we had a one-on-one, like, everyone was on the call from his team, but we had a one-on-one conversation, just him and I. And it's like, how do we build this? Like, he's like, I want a run club, but like, how do I do it? So it came up with this idea. I'm like, let's do Strava. And then now he's like a fiend for Strava, like, because he doesn't have a phone and he doesn't have social, like, he doesn't run his social media, but he's, if someone is saying something on Strava, it's Jelly.
Wow.
And so then we launched this run club with Strava. and immediately overtakes Diplo's run club, overtakes every run club on Strava outside of the Strava run club that has 1 million people in it. I think it's up to 80, 90,000 right now. And so then Ian comes up with this idea, and he's like, hey, he's like, Ian is like Jelly's like built-in best friend as well. Like always, like, the team stays at hotels. Ian stays at Jelly's house. Like they're close, and they train together. And because Ian trains, like he trains top UFC fighters. Like just got Belal Muhammad, who the UFC guy just recently lost. Unfortunately, Ian. But Ian was out there with him, So he had to leave. So he's like, hey, I have this idea. He's like, how about you come down to Nashville? He goes, we'll put you up in a hotel. And he goes, we'll get you to meet Jelly. And he's like, if you guys hit it off, he's like, then when I leave for Belal's fight camp, he's like, you can come in and then you can train one-on-one with Jelly, and then we'll bring another chef in and he can just chef it up. I'm like, cool. So we get down there, and Jelly got sick. And I'm in the hotel, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to meet him. Like, I brought Amanda down, and he was supposed to perform at the Grand Ole Opry. And we were going to, meet him and then go. And he didn't. He backed out of the Opry. So now we don't have Opry tickets, and Amanda was so excited. And sure enough, we ended up, that Thursday night was the Opry. He got us row 5 tickets to the Opry, and we got to go sit at the Grand Ole Opry, the 100-year. And he didn't even, he wasn't even able to perform. He was so sick. But he got us tickets, and the next day we went in. I met him. We vibed out. We just sat down. We were watching, there was March Madness basketball. We were just chilling, me and his whole team. And, we chatted, and sure enough, he wanted me to come out on tour. And so that was March. April 1, I left for Hawaii for a wellness retreat that Amanda has a wellness retreat company. And I landed in LA on the way back and immediately drove to Beverly Hills, stayed in this $37 million mansion, and was with Jelly for 4 weeks.
Wow.
And toured. We went everywhere. I went to Nashville, private jetting from Nashville to Vegas and Salt Lake City, Utah on the Post Malone tour, and Stagecoach and American Idol. I was literally backstage at American Idol.
Wow.
It was I had this, it was really cool for me. I'd love to share this. I was sitting in the bedroom. It was a top bedroom overlooking the entire city of LA. We are in the house, right next to LeBron. And I don't know, I think that everyone in their life has the moment of I made it. And I mean has the moment multiple times through their life. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting up there, it's nighttime, and I'm getting ready to put all the shades down because it's glass to floor windows, and I'm looking out the whole city, the craziest view I've ever seen. And I was like, I made it. That was my first I made it moment. I'm sitting in this multi-million-dollar Beverly Hills, being employed by Jelly Roll. I don't have a job, I don't have a real job anymore, and I'm making money from my, this is it, I made it. Mm. And I just remember in that moment, there was no confetti, there was no claps, there was no good job, you did it. And that was where I was that was where I went back to my faith, and I'm because it wasn't a sad moment, I was still happy, but then I kind of sat there and I'm that's kind of weird. That's where I went back to my faith, and I'm it's not about pursuing things within the world. To me, it's about keeping that same relationship with God and keeping that relationship of, I'm not chasing things of the world. I'm chasing the end game.
Yeah.
And, but it was that was such a cool moment that I had for me while I was out there.
Yeah. Well, it's this concept called the arrival fallacy. We think that when we get the thing, when we get the house, we get the view, the clouds will part, the streamers will go off, the band will be playing, life will be good.
I was like, where's the confetti at,
where
man?
Is it?
What the heck?
But what we recognize on that journey most often is it's the people we're on the journey with that is far more important than the destination where we're going to. And we find way more pride and way more joy in the actual journey. And so what it sounds like to me is you're enjoying this entire journey of whether it's flying on a private jet with Jelly Roll or it's meeting Amanda and then going and watching the Eagles game. You just are enjoying life.
Yeah.
So then you decide to run 842 miles? 841 from one side of Texas to the other side of Texas? Yeah. What got into you that you thought that was a good idea?
I have no idea. I can't even, I've been asked that question. How'd you come up with this idea? I don't remember. 2023 September, I broke my leg in 4 different areas. Not compound fracture, but I had 3 grade 4 stress fractures, which is almost surgical. Mm-hmm. to the point to where it was like, oh, like this isn't just leg pain anymore. Like I cannot run at all.
But let's be clear. You had that pain while you were running in a race in first place.
Yeah.
And then quit the race only after the guy behind you passed you.
Yes. So yeah, it sounds bad when you say it like that, but that is how it happened.
But I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, I have leg pain, I can't run. Like you were running in a race and winning with leg pain.
So if I can backtrack and then fast track, I broke it at Ironman what happened was I did a marathon. I won the BPN marathon on Saturday. Nope, I won the BPN marathon on Sunday. The next Saturday, I went to Houston and raced Ironman Texas. My goal was to go sub 3 in the marathon and sub 12 in the Ironman in the same week because no one had ever done that. And I won the marathon, 2:54, and then I PR'd my Ironman in like 10 hours and some change. No training for Ironman, by the way. Like, not to like toot my own horn, but I didn't, like my swim was an hour and a half. Like that is horrible. I've done an Ironman in 72 minutes. This one was an hour and a half. Like shit was just not going good. But I made up for it on the run. Mile 25 of a 26.2 mile marathon, my leg hit the ground and I knew something broke because I felt this, like it felt like lightning. Like if whatever lightning would strike you would feel like, I felt it come up from the bottom of my foot into my hip. And I limped it all the way in. Finished the Ironman, was standing there, stepped off of a curb, and then literally like sat down. And I'm pretty sure I went to the medical tent. Yeah. They were there. It was so cool. Went to the medical tent, and they put me on crutches. That's April. May, June, July, I kind of like let that heal, but really, yeah. And like, but to the point to like where, so what happened was I know this now because of the x-ray, I didn't have insurance. Because I didn't realize when you get out of the military, because remember I just got out of the military in February, I didn't realize when you get out of the military, I thought you carry TRICARE forever. You should have seen me, like when I called them and I'm like, hey, like, why is my insurance inactive? And they're like, you're not in service, you don't have insurance. And I'm like, you don't get this forever? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, that's a fucking bullshit deal. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't have insurance, so I couldn't go to the doctor because I didn't have no money.
Right.
Because right when I got back from Ironman is when I sold the Ironman bike and I moved into the house and slept on the floor. Like this is all at the same time. So like to the point to where I completely straight through fractured my fibula. Wow. And then just kind of kept training on it. Like to the point where like I would squat and it would feel like my leg was going to bust out. And then I was like, oh, like, gross. Yeah. So would still kind of run on it. But what happened was I changed my gait. And because I changed my gait, I was now training for the Leadville 100. While training for Leadville, I was fracturing the tibia because I was changing my gait and I was putting so much stress on the tibia. So I raced that 100 miler from what the doctor said, because I finally did go to the doctor, with 2 stress fractures in the tibia and a now healed up, not correctly fracture in the fibula. Raced 100 miles. Get done with 100 miles, then I got this opportunity, leg still hurts, to go race the Bronx 10 miler with the pros. New Balance was going to take me out there. Okay. Like, you can't say no to that. So I go out and I'm like, I just ran 100 and I ran a 54-minute 10 miler.
Wow.
Like I placed like top 100 in New York City. But in that race, unfortunately, the same exact thing that happened in April, I stepped in a pothole at like mile 8 and I felt that shock again. But then I already had this 100 on the schedule, so I don't run at all. And we get to this 100 and like I knew I had a chance at winning this race and I could not fathom. For me, that's when we came up with the saying, and I don't know if I came up with it, but I came up with it to say it out loud. It was risk over regret. And that was kind of what Drew and I had talked about because Drew was going out there and I was like, I'd rather risk it than regret not winning.
Right.
And we get out there and I led the entire thing to mile 75. Let me back up. The day before we were trying to film a shakeout run video, like a hype video, and I couldn't even run. And I was literally praying to God. I'm like, please, just heal me. And I went out and adrenaline, God, I don't know. And I ran 75 miles. But by the time I hit 75, like I remember I called my mom crying at 50. Like I was bawling, sobbing on the phone because I'm like, and I was calling friends to try to be like, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
Like I'm winning. Like, do I stop? Like I know it's broke. Like I know it's just messed up. And I couldn't stop. until I literally, I was dragging the right leg because my hips were getting so messed up because I was trying to compensate. And I broke the leg. Like it was, and then I got back and went to the hospital. We got the x-rays and they're like, she's like, when was your race? And I was like, Saturday. And this was Monday. And she's like, this has been broken for a very long time. And she's like, do you see the calcium deposit over here, which you can literally feel? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, that's because you broke this at some point and then you never let it. And I'm like, thinking in my head, I'm like, yeah, I broke it in, April. Yeah. And so, but the problem is with me, what we have found out is through genetic testing and through body spec, doing DEXA scans, I have a very low bone density. And that's natural to me. And I have scoliosis from the military. I lean left. And so what that does is my low bone density and my leaning left puts more pressure on the left leg. So I'm very susceptible to injuries in the left leg.
How do you combat that now?
I don't. I take a lot of supplements. I do a lot of peptides, to help with bone healing. Mm-hmm. I'm taking calcium and K2 every single day. I'm just, trying to slowly, not, if I ramp up the mileage too quickly, I'm gonna break my shit.
Got it.
And I just need to, which we'll get into like my training now on how I'm trying to defeat that. But so I sit down, and this is the pivotal moment that everything changed. Like this is September to where I'm getting ready to meet Amanda, or I already met Amanda, but I'm getting ready to go on this date with her. So I sit down and I'm like, I'm done. Like that's it. Because at that point, my only identity was running. Mm-hmm. That was it. All my content, everything was running. All I knew how to do was run because I'd spent that whole year running from everything. And I feel like I always say this, I'm like, I don't believe that God will hurt you, but the more that I've learned about Jesus, I kind of believe that he's a jokester and he'd kick you in the shin to sit you down. And I had to sit for September, October, November, December, January, and for 5 months. And in that 5 months, I met with Matt Choi, a very good friend of mine who is a great storyteller. And I remember we're sitting at Sun Life Organics, and I'm like, I'm emotional as fuck. Like, I'm like, bro, like, what do I do? Like, this is my job. And he's like, you need to learn how to tell stories. He goes, all you do is post about running and post about doing these hard things, but you need to learn how to tell stories. And he told me this, and I think this is one of the greatest things I have ever been told. He's like, on social media, he's like, you need to be able to tell story A, B, C, D. And he's like, A can be doing hard things, B can be motivation, C can be education, and D could be comedy. And he goes, and you go A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, and you're hitting 4 different audiences.
Wow.
And I took that and I ran with it. And then from September to February. February is when I had my first banger. It took me 4 months of just grinding down on that. And I had one bang in February. I had another one bang in February. And I went to 100K from 60. And, I just doubled down. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, we're going to tell stories. I just started being the funny guy. I was like, I'm not going to be this. Like, I never wanted to be an influencer, but I was just copying what everyone else is doing, and then I'm like, no, I was like, I am so unique. I'm like, I have lived so many lives. I'm going to be the funny guy. I'm going to show the military humor. I'm going to bring comedy to the fitness space or to the ultra running space because it's so freaking serious all the time.
Right.
And that's what I did. And I just leaned into that. It was like motivation, comedy, motivation. And I kind of did too, education a little bit, motivation, comedy, education. Bang, 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 bang. And it would just slowly trickle. And I got those 2 reels that just blew up, one for 10 mil and one for like 4 in the same week. And once that happens, everything else snowballs.
And then you're like, I'll just run across Texas.
Yes. So, sorry, I skipped over that. So, September 11th.
Yeah.
I had this idea, 2023. I texted this idea to Bobby Dautrick, owner of Axe Sledge, a supplement company. And I was like, I want to run across the state of Texas. And I sent that to Bobby and to Drew, and Bobby's like, you're a logistical nightmare. That was the exact message. Drew, I want to be the first person to run across Texas. Drew goes, dude, that sounds so cool, but it's already been done. And I'm like, shit. I'm
Thanks,
like, okay.
Drew.
I'm like, how long? Like, and then I came up with the idea that I never, ever released to the public. The goal that I had is I was like, I want to be the fastest person to do it. But then I had a meeting with another friend who, very businessy, his name's CJ Finley, and he's like, you can't just approach this with this idea of like, I want to set the record. He goes, it doesn't even look right. He goes, it looks arrogant. He goes, you need to have like an emotional why. He goes, what's your emotional why? Like what could you do with this? I was like, well, I could raise money for charity because I've been doing that the last 3 years, doing an American flag run on the 4th of July. And I was like, he's like, okay. He's like, who'd you do the run for last year? I was like, Valor Fit. And he goes, is that an organization you truly resonate with? I was like, they put veterans into fitness, and fitness changed my life. So fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool. He goes, then your why needs to be Valor Fit. And then your why of I want to set the fastest known time needs to be very personal. And he goes, and then so I walked away with that and I was like, personal, private. I was like, if we're going to make this about Valor Fit, we're not going to speak about it. But I'll tell you what, it was all we talked about while we were out there. Like it was like, how close to the record are we?
Yeah.
Am I below it or behind it? Or, but it was always about raising money for the vets. So yeah, I put it out there. I don't remember when I first put it out there, but I think it was April because we were in Hawaii, April of 24. And I just like, hey, I was like, I'm going to run across the state of Texas to raise money for Valor Fit. And, I spent all summer, I did the BPN overnight. I did the 50 miler in June of 24. Went like 7 hours, which is just crazy elite. Accidentally almost ran a sub 4 for the first marathon, or a sub 3. Like I almost went sub 3 in the marathon in this trail because I was following Mitch Ammons, like the greatest athlete in Austin, and he was trying to kill me. And then I went straight into training and, ran 80, 90, 110, 130, 150, 150, 150 per, and that's in 6 days. So those were my weeks. I would rest on Sundays because I was trying to heal the body. And then I fucked my leg up again. And that was a story that we also did not talk about until after because I didn't want any excuses to be seen beforehand. Against all medical advice, every single person, PTs, doctors, physical, everyone told me not to run this race. Like not to run this run. Everyone was like, do not do it. I went and got an image in Dallas, drove all the way to Dallas because they had a hour turnaround where they would read your image to you. Still don't have insurance. I still don't have insurance right now. We're working on it.
And an option for you.
Yeah, and paid $700 for an MRI. Got an MRI, and I had 3 spots of severe bone edema, which is what precedes a stress fracture. So what that means is that's like a stress fracture is coming.
Yeah.
They diagnosed me with Achilles tendonitis, and I had severe fluid on the ankle. That was all in the left leg. So what we did is during my peak week, which is what science says should be your biggest week before your race, I took a 0. I didn't run whatsoever. I didn't bike. I just went and lifted weights at the gym. And by lifted weights, I mean I just went there to feel good. Mm-hmm. And rolled a 0. The next week I ran, so the week before that I got hurt, I only ran 30 because I went 150 injured. So I ran 30, then I ran 0. Then I ran 70, 30, and then I towed the line. But it was really hard because I was like, man, do we delay it? But if we delay it, then I'm gonna, it's gonna give me anxiety, and I'll never know if it would have been okay. And I'm like, at some point, I was like, fuck it. But there's another story behind this that I told on the Meat Mafia podcast that was like my first, what I feel like was like my encounter with God. And what happened was I made a promise with God that I said, I'm never, ever going to make fitness my idol. Like, I was like, I'm just not, like, I did that in 23, and I started to do it again in 24. So as I started to do it again, I had this vision, and I was running down the road, and it was almost like a TV just came over my eyes. And it's like 115 degrees outside, like, and I'm running on the side of a highway. Like, this is crazy shit. And I see myself getting out, and I'm not like, I always say this, I'm never going to tell someone that they need to believe in God, but I'll tell you about all of my experiences. What you want to do with that is up to you. Yeah. So like I had this, it was like the virtual reality where I was literally there, and it's me stepping out of the van, and I was like, there's a group of people, and I was like, what you are about to see is not of me, but of God. Came back and I'm crying. I came back and I have tears in my eyes. Like I'm crying down my face. I'm like, what the hell? And when I really reanalyzed that exact saying is, you've heard me speak for the last hour. I don't talk like that. Yeah. That's when I was like, holy crap. That next morning is when I stepped out of bed and I couldn't walk. that's when I went and got and that's when I found that things were wrong. So I really felt like this run was more about, I can't tell you how many times I told that story to people that came out. I had hundreds of people that came out on the route, and I told them all because I felt like that's what I needed to do. And, whether it was spreading the message of God, like, I don't know. I just do what I think is right. And, we were talking about this the other day, and I'm like, if I'm doing it wrong, I'll face it when I get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now I think that this is right. So,
was there ever a moment during the run where you didn't think you were going to make it?
No. But there was a moment during the run that you'll see this weekend. I'm sure you'll watch the documentary. It starts with this. I get into the van, and life was good. People ran with me. We get to it was like we were in Midland, day 6, 7, 8, or 9, somewhere. They all ran together. I get into the van. I, high-fived everybody. Thanks for running with me. And I get in the van, and I sit down, and I instantly I broke. Fucking boo-hooing, sobbing. And even like Drew tells a story that like Drew was like, he's like, I had to point the camera at you and like I couldn't even look. He's like, I couldn't even, because he was like, it was just, he's like, you were making us all just. And Amanda's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, this isn't even hard, but it is the most pain I've ever been in my life. And it was in that moment, my as a human, I was rationalizing that I was never going to exit that pain until I hit that finish line. And I think I was just releasing those emotions of like, because the quitting was never an option.
Right.
And that was the breaking point of like, this isn't going to end. It's just going to be painful until I'm done.
Yeah, it might take 18 days. It might take 88 days,
yeah,
but I'm going to finish.
Yeah, and that was like something, I still remember Drew posted that on my story. He took over my Instagram, posted on my story the night before, and he said October 1 until we're done. Because like that was the mentality. It was like until we're done. And I told everybody, I said, when we're done, like if shit goes south, I'm like, Drew, or I was like, Rob, the crew chief, I go, you're the first one to leave. I'm like, Drew, then you leave. And then Marcus and Amanda, my little brother and my girlfriend at the time, like, you guys can fight over who's the next person to leave because we're
not leaving.
We're going.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I was like, I'll die out here. And I met people say that shit all the time, and it makes me cringe. When they're like, I'm gonna die or quit for like 100 miles. But like no, like I had this mentality where I was like, I'm not leaving this motherfucker unless my leg is snapped in half or I am dead. And I feel like because I had that true mentality, because I had the why, like I just kept telling myself, there are so many people in this world who will never be able to experience this. So many veterans that don't have fucking legs. So many people that can't feel their legs, and they'll never understand the type of pain that my feet were giving my body. And I was like, every single step is for them. Whether that sounds cringy or not, I was just telling myself that every single day. I'd make myself cry every single morning as the sun rose, because when the sun would rise, you'd get a little, emotional. Yeah. But I would and then I would think like, don't forget why. Like I would think about all of that, and every morning I'd make myself cry. Just me out there, like 7 o'clock in the morning, Texas sunrise,
just running.
And I would just keep hammering it to myself of why I'm doing it.
You've done it all. You've built the business. You've made the money. You conquered the grind. You're the lone wolf, and yeah, that got you here. But let's be real, it won't take you to the next level. The truth, most successful people don't hunt alone. They join a tribe, a network of elite entrepreneurs, investors, or leaders who challenge them, push them, and hold them accountable to their biggest goals. GoBundance is that tribe. Extreme accountability, real wealth building, life-changing adventure, and a brotherhood who refuses to let each other play small. So here's the challenge. Stay the lone wolf or run with the pack. The right tribe changes everything. Find a link in the description. Apply today. This episode is brought to you by Loletta Birnbaum, LLC, doing business justice. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, real estate investor, or a combination of each, you know how critical it is to have trusted legal advisors on your team. Loletta Birnbaum has built a stellar reputation providing exceptional legal services that make a difference. As a national business law firm, Loletta Birnbaum provides a wide variety of legal services, including general corporate, contract negotiations, mergers and acquisitions, succession planning, intellectual property, commercial litigation, shareholder disputes, real estate, and employment. Whether you're navigating a complex business deal, resolving disputes, or protecting your brand, their team delivers practical, results-driven legal solutions tailored to your goals. For inquiries, GoBundance members should email Loletta Birnbaum at gobundance@loletta.com. That's LAULETTA.com. You can also visit their website at www.lauletta.com to learn more about how they can do your business justice. This episode is brought to you by Apex Functional Health, the team behind age-defying health at GoBundance. If you're a high-achieving entrepreneur, investor, or leader, you know that your health is your greatest asset. But the truth is, traditional medicine isn't built for people like you. It treats symptoms, ignores root causes, and keeps you stuck in cycles of fatigue, stress, and subpar performance. That's where Apex comes in. They do not do Band-Aids. They engineer elite health transformations for men, women, and children looking to optimize their health and be proactive instead of reactive. Apex uses root cause functional medicine, advanced lab testing, and cutting-edge biohacking tools to help you optimize energy, eliminate the root cause holding you back, and reverse early signs of aging so you can live, feel, and perform at your best. Apex helps you take control of your health so you can lead with power, not burnout. Visit apexfunctionalhealth.com to schedule your free strategy call and see what's possible when your body finally works for you, not against you. What's slowing your business down? Is it endless emails, scheduling headaches, repetitive tasks that steal your time? My Outdesk has your solution. Their experienced global virtual assistants handle the busy work so you can focus on strategy, growth, and whatever matters to you most. From administrative support to marketing and customer service, they've got you covered at a fraction of the cost of hiring in-house. Scale smarter, save bigger, get the support you need today at My Outdesk. You're going to start in Oklahoma. You're going to run all the way to the south of Texas.
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take?
How long do I actually think it's going to take? I'd love to finish on the 19th day.
19th day.
And the way that these runs work is it's a little, you can kind of get confused. So when they time it, you can finish the next day, but it's actually the day before plus some change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when I started Texas, I started on the 1st. I finished on the 18th, but we only ran 8 hours that day. So it was 17 days, 8 hours, 54 minutes, and 3 seconds. So my idea is if I can go 20 days flat, that is finishing at the end of the 19th day.
That's like 19 days, 23 hours.
Yeah. Then that's 50 miles a day. So I'm sure that the question is coming of why. Why?
Yeah, what's the point?
Everyone wants to know like why to do it again. I feel like when I did it last time, I had no idea what we were doing. Like I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to I know how to go and do an American flag run and raise $4,000 through hype, but I didn't know how to do a charity fundraiser. I didn't know how to do anything. So for me, I felt like I never want to do the minimum. And it was like, to me, I felt like, we only raised $30,000 for Valor Fit. And I was very transparent with the public because I don't hide shit. I do not lie. That's a huge thing for me. We raised through brands. The idea was to raise money for logistics. We raised $52,000. We used $52,000. We fucking raised 30.
Wow.
I'm like, bro, because the idea was, which like people got pissed off about on social media. I don't give a flying fuck. Yeah. But I would go to Waterloo and I would be like, hey, if you give me 10, 5, or 2.5, I will give you X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And then they would hop on because I'm advertising for you to get me across Texas.
Right.
We only raised 30. And I'm like, damn, I really wanted to raise $100,000. And, but there's been some charity events that are really struggling. And I don't know, if it's the, economy, if it was the election, you can blame it on whatever, it don't matter. But to me, I was like, I didn't feel like I did what I needed to do with Valor Fit. And then I had this aspect of I remember every day, and Drew confirmed this to me as he's been combing the footage the last 2 weeks, is I would kind of just get tired at the end of the day and I'd be done. Mm-hmm. Did I struggle out there? Yeah, I struggled so bad, the most I've ever struggled. But I would kind of just, I'd be like, okay. I set a daily minimum of 40 miles. That would get us done on the 23rd day. I don't do minimums. So I knew I would always do more than 40 miles. So the minimum I hit 43 twice, 46 a couple times, 47 a lot, 48 a lot, 50 a couple times, 52 once. Like,
Yeah.
But I always there was just, when I look back at it now, I'm like, man, and I'm probably wrong. It's probably my sick mind telling me this, but there was never really a day where I was like, I'm destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, I was destroyed every day, but it's a weird concept in my brain where I was like, I had more. And, I see William Googe, who I've watched for a really long time. He's ran across America. He just ran across Australia. He did 110 kilometers a day, which is like 65 miles. And I had this problem where I'm like, I'm just a normal guy, but when I see someone do something, I know I can do that.
Right.
And, so I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and run 65 a day, but if I can figure out how to do it, I will. And I need to I need to give a little bit more from myself. I need to give a little bit more to charity. Like, I didn't feel like I gave it all. I felt, for the first time in my life, I felt complete when I got done, because I remember getting back home and we got done on Friday. On Saturday we had a party, like a welcome home. My friend comes out and he's high energy, sits right next to me, goes, "Dude, what's next?" And I was like, nothing. I was like, I already did it. Like it gave me the sense of peace where, number one, I proved to myself what I'm capable of, and then number two, I felt like I finally proved to everybody else like I belong here. Mm-hmm. And because I play a lot. I play around, I fuck around a lot, and I own that. But when we had this conversation the other day, like these reels of me smoking cigarettes, it's really just a joke. Like I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't at all. I'll rip a cig. Like I'll take a puff in a reel. But how many cigarettes have I actually just smoked? I did smoke one cigarette drunk on a balcony in Tahoe after I fell and broke my face the next day. I don't remember the last cigarette I smoked. But the cigarette is more of it's a thing. I'm showing people it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
And at the same time, where I'm bringing this back to is I want people to see that, this guy is ripping a cigarette, having fun, and then we're saying prove it, and he's proving it. Mm-hmm. Like I'm proving it. You can go have a beer. You can take a drag off of a cigarette, and you can go be an elite motherfucker. And you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be this elite athlete. You don't need to be somebody. Like I am labeled from the world as an influencer. I'm not anybody. Like when I left the military, I took that uniform off, and I didn't become anything. I became nothing, in my mind. Mm-hmm. And, so for me, I'm just showing these people that, you don't need to be somebody to do something.
But you're also having fun. You're being yourself, right? Like, you don't have to be anybody, but you don't sacrifice yourself for anything.
That right there. Yeah. Yes. Make sure that is added for sure. Because it is, I don't want to stray away. That's what I learned when I was, growing in my content. Like, when you stray away from who you are, it becomes fake. It's not real.
Yeah.
And I also believe if you stay true to yourself, that's when you attract real good people. Because if you are someone else and you're playing this someone else, you're going to attract someone else, and it's not going to be someone that is true to a friendship that you need.
Yeah.
Like I attract just good fucking people because I'm out there and I'm being a real good fucking person. I spent so much time in my life being a shit person. I spent so much time in my life telling white lies. And just one day I just woke up and I was like, I don't want to be this person anymore.
Right.
And ever since I made that switch, ever since I made that switch, it's only been dope, good people that have come into my life.
Well, what's ironic about that is the white lies, trying to be something you weren't, was probably trying to seek acceptance from others.
Yes.
But when you became your true, authentic self, the world accepted you in ways you probably never imagined.
Yeah, for sure. And
then people like Amanda come into your life. People like Drew come into your life, and they bet on you in a big way because they're like, I see a real, true dude.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be by his side.
Yeah, and that's as a human experiencing emotions, that's one of the greatest things that you could ever feel. Yeah. Because then now that I am me and I am true to who I am, I wake up every single morning with, I talked about this. I don't, Goggins, there's all those videos out there, and now people want to copy them and be like, you gotta beat that inner bitch inside of you every morning, and don't be a pussy. And like, I wake up every morning and I open my eyes and I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, I get to go run today.
Yeah.
I get to and I say that every morning when I read my Bible and I pray. I'm like, thank you so much for allowing me the ability to go do what I want to do today.
Right.
And I wake up grateful
every
single morning, which is showing me that I am pure, it's pure happiness. I am happy. I'm so happy. Just like we talked about before we sat down. I want to be in my home.
Right.
I want to be with my fiance. I want to be in my element. And I want to go run the miles I want to run.
Yeah.
And that's what, the pure happiness that I feel inside of me. And I started experiencing that when I moved to Austin, because I remember telling my mom in 2023 when I moved here, I go, I've never, ever experienced this thing I feel inside my chest, this feeling of, I'm not kidding you, when I moved to Austin, I could feel it in my chest of, I would wake up every morning and I would be like, I've never known what it was like to love where you live. And I would feel it in my body.
Yeah. And
what's so cool is here we are 2.5 years later, and I feel that same thing every morning. And all it is just gratefulness to be alive and gratefulness to be in a situation that I can use my capabilities and my abilities and my platform to help others understand that they can get there as well.
Do you think the perspective that Goggins takes, beat that inner bitch, don't be a pussy, all the things he's pushing on people, do you think that's a mindset of running from something rather than what you said you're embracing now, which is running to something, which sounds more like an attitude of gratitude, if you will?
Yeah, I think number one, obviously I can't speak on what his interdialogue is, but I think that everyone has their own problems.
Yeah. And
everyone has to deal with them their own ways.
Yeah.
And there was times where I would deal with my problems by waking up and I'm like, don't be a bitch. This is, you can go do it. But at some point when you do conquer that, and maybe for me it was, once I started proving it to myself, then it became more of I was running towards it, once that I think that those people are they still haven't proved to themselves who they are.
Yeah.
Or they refuse to prove it to themselves and try to prove it to others.
Yeah.
And when you try to prove yourself to others, you'll destroy yourself in the process.
Yeah.
So for me, it's but there's only one way to fix that, and I can't say what that way is. Only you can figure that out.
Right.
For me, it was doing these events and doing these hard things and proving to myself over and over and over. Just like you say, selling a product, right? It takes you 7 times to see it. Maybe it took me 7 times to win a race, or 7 times to run a race, until it finally, I could finally click in my brain where I'm like, you are who you say you are.
Right. So you talk about dealing with problems. You faced a lot of them. You could argue you've conquered a lot of them, but you could also make the assumption that more are coming your way. It's just a part of life. Where in your life right now would you say you're most flirting with disaster?
Business. Business for sure. Because, I had this idea of starting this new product. I don't know how it works. And I am I'm open to taking advice, but also at the same time, selfishly inside of me, I don't really want to take advice either, because I want to fuck it up on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've fucked a lot of things up in my life, and then I have to learn how to fix them, right? It's like you have this tower of Lego blocks.
Yeah.
Or this is what it is you have this Lego box and you see the house that's built on the front of the box. Now dump all the Legos out and throw the instructions away, and then just look at the house and be like, okay, you'll get it. You'll build the house. No instructions, you'll build it, but it's going to take you a long time. You're going to mess it up. You're going to put pieces in the wrong area.
Right.
But for me, I feel like that's how I've always learned. That's how I've always figured it out. I didn't go to college. I don't have a degree. I didn't have really, anyone to teach me anything. I just kind of did it and watched it be done. And, so that'll be interesting to see how I have the product. It's made, it's ready. Where do I go from here? I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think you have to change that perspective now that you have a fiance and you're talking about a family?
I feel like there's a yes and no to that. I feel like with myself, and this is maybe just me being toxic because this is who I am. I feel like I have a backup plan, like as long as I still have income coming in, I can kind of fuck it up, right? But then again, like I know that if I was back against the wall and I was bootstrapping it and I didn't have any income coming in and I had to make this product work right now, I would have to do it a whole different way, which is dangerous. Like that's a dangerous way of thinking. And I know that. But these are just dialogues that I'm having in my own head, of like, how do I do it, right? Because I know, here's the problem. Anytime in my entire life I've ever had anyone do something for me, I never learned how to do it. That's the issue. Is like, and you could give me all the advice you want because I still don't understand taxes. Because I hired an accountant and he sat me down. He sat me down for 3 hours on 2 different sessions, and he's said exactly how S Corp and LLC and then taxes in Wyoming because Texas and I don't get it because I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to do it. He did it.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of what I'm nervous with about business is like if I have someone do it for me, I'm never going to understand how to do it.
Right.
It's like I have to do every job once to kind of be able to visualize that later.
Right.
But it's a dangerous game to play.
It is, especially as you start to think about a family.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know you've hit on that a lot, even when I first got here, and it was always like we were talking. It was like, kids.
Well, because I'm wired in a similar way as you are. Like I'm wired for the adrenaline, and I'm wired to do what everybody tells me not to. Like I dropped out of college as well. I mean, a couple of years ago, I decided to ride a bull. Got thrown into a fence, ruptured my Achilles tendon. I was like, I'm going to come back faster than anybody. Re-ruptured it again at physical therapy. Like I just like doing things that people tell you not to do.
Yeah, I always say if it's hot, I'm going to touch it twice.
Yeah. It's more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want to learn for myself.
I'm like ouch, that hurt.
I want to learn for myself. And I'm starting to notice myself. I have 3 kids, 6, 4, and 9 months. And I'm starting to notice in myself just thinking a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And so I'm really trying to play with that when talking to other people.
See, I think that you can say that to me all you want until Amanda walks up to me and is like, I'm pregnant. Ain't shit gonna change.
Yep.
But I just know, like, I've thought about that moment, and I know, like, when that moment does come at some point, because it's gonna come whenever, like, there will be that man, that, like, mentality of, like, and then I'm gonna be calling you, be like, hey, remember when you told me this? Like, can you tell me it one more time?
I've done the same thing. People would be like, when this happens, you're going to change. I'm like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it didn't happen after the first, and it didn't happen after the second. But now on the third one, I'm like, I probably should think a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and I think I'm starting to do that with, I can just say it here. Like the Texas run as of right now is probably going to be the last big one. I'm 30. I'm damaged. Like I will love running forever. I will run forever. But like I have a fracture I didn't let heal. I have severe scoliosis in my body. Like if, my neck is messed up. I always move my neck like this because I have military neck from wearing the Kevlar for so long. Like my body is damaged, and I have done nothing but prolong getting the help I need because I can't stop training, right? Like I've been just going for the last 3 years.
Do you think you're really going to be able to stop?
I need Amanda to get pregnant. That's in the plan.
Yeah.
Like the plan right now is we get married next year.
Okay.
And we're getting married, I think, I don't know, whenever she wants, but I think it's June. But the goal, like what I think in my head, and I'm hoping that that's like God's plan, and I think that if it's on my heart as much as that, I trust that will happen. I really think that it will be within the next 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, that's going to have to be the stopping force. And I think I'm already just calling that to fruition and feeling that that's going to happen. So, because then it will not be about me anymore. And it makes it easy to be about me when I'm sitting right here and doing all my training and Amanda's in Tampa, and she's at the house and she's doing yoga and she's going downtown and, it makes it easy. Right.
Yeah.
But because we still meet up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But then like when you involve a child in that and like then like she becomes the one who's bearing my child, like then it is a completely different ballgame.
But let's be clear. You're running across Texas
and I think
for the second time this year.
I want to add in something because this is I've never spoke about this on a podcast. My ex-wife and I had a miscarriage in 2018. And she was pregnant for, like, we knew she was pregnant for like 4 weeks. And I remember that feeling like inside of me where I was like, I need to change. I need to do this. Like now I'm gonna, like, I remember this, like, just, it was like, I was so excited. I didn't grow up with a dad at all. And I was so excited because I was like, this is it. Like, this is my chance to like do it right. And like, I'm going to change everything. And I'm going to, it gave me this feeling of like motivated me instantly for like a month to just, go and like do the best that I can do and be the best. And what am I going to change in my life to like, so I've already felt that.
And when it comes again.
And I know, yeah. And I think, and even that was, how long ago was that? 8 years ago? Yeah. And, I know that it's all God's plan too, because I think about myself right now at 30 and I'm like, I have an 8-year-old at 30.
Yeah.
And unfortunately we had a miscarriage and it was horrible. It was traumatic. But like, why I say that the way I say is because I've felt that.
Yeah.
And I know for sure, like, that feeling, even now, like, because I was not ready in that moment. I mean, right. 22, like barely, I think I made like $3,000 in the military as like an E4 who was just promoted. Like, I didn't have no money. I have nothing. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and now like being where I'm at, like I am so set.
Yeah.
And so that's why I know, I felt that feeling and I know now like how okay it's going to be, and it's going to be more than okay. So that's why I think that, like, I know that Amanda's ready for that to happen. I'm ready for that to happen. And I know that it's all going to just kind of shift. Because when you think about it, if I'm right, you look at some of these guys like Goggins who they don't have children, and they go the way they go, and that's cool. But like, my goal is to be here and to have children and to, be the dad I was never able to be. But yeah, that's why.
But let's be clear, you're running across Texas for the second time this year. You're getting married next June. She's going to be pregnant for 10 months. What are you going to do from October, November till 2027?
So that is, I had the call with the potential business partner, and that was the idea, was that, I feel like launching this, this business, then I'm able to, because that was the point when we were talking about equity and talking about ownership and how, it was like, I remember, the guy on the call, he's like, how, like, are you going to even be involved in this? And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, because I'm already pre-planning, having that product and having that line ready to, like, I wake up, and I was even talking to my friend this morning, and I'm like, dude, I go, inside of me kind of craves, like, what is it like to, this is probably stupid to the normal person. I'm like, what's it like waking up and running 3 miles and going and grabbing a coffee with your friends? And then you go home, you chill out, and and then you do your business work for the day, and you're not tired, you're not taking a nap in the afternoon, you're not shoveling fucking food down your throat, you're not running at 5 o'clock again in the afternoon and feeling dead all the time.
Yeah.
You're not, your friends aren't hitting you up and saying, hey, come and do this, and you're like, no, I can't, I have to run. You're not, trying to plan coming to a podcast that's an hour and a half away while running 10 miles in the morning. And then I know that, okay, if I run 10, then I need to run 10 in the afternoon. So what am I going to do with my afternoon? I don't want that anymore.
Yeah. All while Grandpa's here.
Yeah. And then tomorrow I'm telling him, and I'm like, hey, I was like, I have to run 20 miles tomorrow because I have to do a 20 and a 30 back to back. I'm like, okay, so I can wake up, like, you're leaving at, and you feel almost guilty.
Yeah.
And, that's why, like, we packed yesterday, and then, but like, it's, I want to feel, I don't know what it's like to live the life I live right now and have time.
Yeah.
And I love my life, but I want to know what it's like to, like, have time to do things. And I mean, I nap. If I'm running 15 to 20 miles, I'm napping every afternoon.
Yeah.
Every afternoon. First day he was here, I was like, I got to go take a nap. Yeah. Because you're eating so much, your carbs, your insulin levels are dropping and spiking. Like, I have to take a nap.
Yeah.
And, I'm ready to, like, I remember the month of November last year, like, I didn't run at all. We went to Costa Rica. It poured. It never stopped raining. It was glorious. I didn't lift a single weight. I didn't run.
Yeah.
And, like, I came back from that so rejuvenated. And I'm like, imagine, and then I came back and just got right back into it. Imagine just not.
Yeah.
Like, how much brain power can I have to put towards my business when I'm not running, but 30, I love running. I have to start my day with a run every day. If I run 5 miles every morning, that's 30 miles a week.
Yeah. Plenty.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. You know, imagine what I can give to Amanda, what I can give to my child, what I can give to the world that I don't even know yet.
Yeah.
As well as taking care of my health at 30.
Well, what's powerful about that is you spent the early part of your life running from something. You spent the last few years running towards something. And now all you're saying is, I just want to be present here in this moment with the people I love and care about. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think that'll probably be the hardest challenge yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're used to chasing or running from, right?
Yeah.
And so there's so much beauty and peace in looking at the hard thing and say, I know it's going to be hard. It would be easier to just set the next run to run across California and then the next run to go do this and then go do Everest. Like, it'd be so easy for you to fall into that pattern.
Yeah.
But instead you're like, I know that the magic I'm seeking is lying in that work I'm not willing to do, which is to just be still.
Yeah. And that's, you know, if it can be 2026 and I force myself, like I told a friend yesterday, I was like, he wanted me to do XYZ race. And I was like, I can't commit right now because as of right now, I'm not doing any events in 2026.
For you.
And, you know, I want that to be true because I want, just like I challenge myself, like you just said, with anything else in life, I want to challenge myself to sit for a second.
Sit.
I want to challenge myself to go get a 3 mile run in, come back home, do my 2-3 hours of work. And then at noon, I want to sit there and be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do today? You know, because I do that on Sundays, on my rest days. And then I feel like I need to be doing something to make money. I need to be doing something to, like, I feel like if I'm stagnant, that like I'm failing.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. That is not good. That is a toxic trait. Like that is toxicity at its finest because it's not true. And your brain tells yourself that you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Like I've had to learn how to relax on Sundays but telling myself my body needs it makes it very easy. But like it becomes hard at times when we wake up at 7, we go to church, and then we get back home at 11, and then it's what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, so if I can challenge myself in that, like I think just like you said, like that's gonna be the greatest challenge yet.
When do you start the second run across Texas?
October 5th.
October 5th. Okay, so one of the things that I think is really unique about the community I get to run, this Go Abundance, it's an entrepreneurial based community. We got over 850 members. All of our guys have a net worth of a minimum of $2 million. So the cumulative net worth of our group is over $5 billion. Like that's bigger than small countries.
Yeah.
But we believe in more than just business. A lot of these groups are like business. And one of the unique advantages we have is we believe there's 6 pillars of life. There's health, there's wealth, there's adventure, but then there's also this thing like genuine contribution. And so when you and I started chatting, I started following along on your stories and I saw you were trying to raise money. Starting to raise money. Somebody was going to get a rat tattoo or something.
Yeah, Drew said because rat, we called it rat last year in the van, run across Texas, rat. So yeah, Drew was like, he's like, if we hit 5, because last year, no one really knows this. We only raised $500 on my flag run.
Wow.
Like it was I just didn't do good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And this year we raised 3,000, which to me is not a lot, but 3,000 is
6 times.
That's 10%.
Yeah.
That's 10%. What I raised 10% in a single day.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
He was going to get a rat tattoo, right?
Yeah, Drew was.
I was very close to just putting a $2,000 donation in just to see the tattoo. Because I was like, why would you get a rat tattoo? Like, it's just not a good idea.
Yeah, dude.
It's gonna
because he doesn't have a tattoo at all. He has no tattoos. So I couldn't imagine and his parents are a little.
If I would have known he doesn't have a tattoo and he was gonna do it, like, there's no doubt I would have done it.
Yeah.
But when you and I started chatting, I was like, hey man, I got an idea. Like in this Go Abundance community, we also have an arm of our organization that's a 501c3. I'm like, let's take this podcast and Go Abundance, our 501c3 will match dollar for dollar $10,000 worth of donations that comes from this conversation.
Yeah.
And so we're going to make sure that we highlight in the show notes, underneath the video and YouTube, the ways that people can donate to this. But I really want to make sure you don't just hit the 100,000, you don't just hit the 150,000, but like we as a community in Go Abundance, but we as a community in this world supporting veterans that protect our freedom. And look what we just did to Iran. Like we are so blessed to live in this country. We need to look after all those people that take care of us. Mm-hmm. We should blow 100, 150 out of the water, man.
Yeah.
Like, you should have no problem with that.
Yeah. And I can't say thank you enough for that. And it's just, kind of chokes me up, but it's, the biggest thing for me was I knew what fitness would do to change people's lives, but seeing and hearing from Mike, who was on a patrol in Afghanistan in 2012 and was just trying to lead his guys. People were dying, and he was trying to get them out, and he always led from the back, and this time was leading from the front and stepped right on an IED. Blew him 20 feet in the air, landed upside down on his head, completely concussed. But then where it went really bad is his interpreter, you get injured, like someone needs to grab your weapon immediately. And his interpreter ran to grab his weapon and tossed it, and it hit another IED and blew them all up again. And he was 2 weeks from going home. And we had this conversation where, like, this is as we're running. Like, Mike and I, we met each other at High Rocks, doing a High Rocks fitness event because he had got into fitness and very good at it now. And we had met there, and I was like, hey, like, I would love for you. I found out he was training for a world record in this wheelchair. I was like, I'd love for you to come and run. He paid on his own dollar to come down to Tampa.
Oh.
Because he believes in the mission so much. And while we were talking, he was like, I remember laying in that bed, and he's like, I'd been there for a month in that bed. Hadn't left the bed. And he's like, I had a guy come in, a double amputee. And he's like, he came in, and he just talked to me for 5 or 10 minutes, and he's like, and he walked out, and he goes, Mike goes, I had this. He's like, I felt sorry for myself for so long. And he goes, and I was like, fuck that. I was like, if that, just like my mentality, if that guy can do that, I can do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I immediately, he has legs, but he has prosthetic legs, but it makes it really hard because his amputee is so high. And so he got in the wheelchair, and he just started, like, he turned to fitness, and he became a coach to help others. And, that was a big thing that we talked about the entire time is I'm like, why does it, like, and this video will be on YouTube. I'd love for anyone to see it in a couple weeks. But, that was the biggest question is I'm like, why does it matter? And, like, hearing it come from someone like him of, like, why does it matter to get people into fitness? The biggest thing that you realize is these guys that go over there, just like we have talked about already in this podcast, it's about everyone to your left and your right. And then, unfortunately, you get injured, or you come home and you get out of service, and unfortunately, 99% of the time, the government doesn't care about you anymore. They'll cut you a check because you have a disability, and they move on. No one's there to help you. No one's there to take you out of the wheelchair to help you get on the toilet. No one's there to grab something from the top shelf. And so these people become very, very lonely. And this isn't even, people that are disabled. Like, this is anybody. They become very lonely because they're used to sleeping in rooms with other people. They're used to, let's not even talk about, people that are disabled. Let's talk about people that they're used to people being there all the time.
Right.
And then next thing you know, they get discharged and they go move into an apartment because they don't have anything. All they know is the military, and they're alone. And then what do? They kill themselves. Because they feel like they don't have anything. That's why 22 veterans a day, that's not why. That is a huge reason of why 22 veterans a day kill themselves in the United States, because they can't cope with being alone.
Right.
So this fitness aspect is, within fitness, what do we have? We have a community, and we have classes, and we have people. And that's why Valor Fit started with CrossFit, because it was classes.
Yeah.
You have classes, you put these people into classes, you put them with others. And it gives you that sense of when the person to the left and the right is pushing as hard as you are, you want to push hard too.
Right.
And then it gives you that sense of like, oh, like, Matt went to class today. Well, I'm going to go to class today too, because I want to see him again today. And I want to see him again today. I want to see him again today.
Right.
And, that's why it's important, is because we get this instilled in our brain as vets that, like, we have to have people. We have to have a community. We have to have brotherhood. We have to have sisterhood. We have to have a camaraderie. And unfortunately, we lose that. And that's what you can find in fitness. And then within fitness, you can find health. Yeah. And within health, you can find a better lifestyle. And with a better lifestyle, you find happiness. It's just, that's why the fitness part matters.
Yeah.
It's not just about lifting weights. It's not. It's about changing your lifestyle, finding your community, and then becoming a happier person.
As well, like, I don't think there's enough money that can be raised for this. Like it's an incredibly powerful cause.
Yeah.
Putting people into community, which we all need, but vets especially need. And it's doing it while making them healthy, working out, moving their body.
Yeah. And I chose Valor Fit because Troy Peterson, small town Iowa boy, and he's just doing it. It's like him and his wife. And, you know, they started the nonprofit, and, you know, they branched out. They asked for help in the CrossFit community, and, you know, Mayhem got involved, and Proven got involved, and now CrossFit Georgetown, that's right down the road from me, is now an affiliate for Valor Fit. Cool. And, you know, so I can put, you know, just like I said, I was like, I don't like to lie, and I will tell everyone the truth. I can put my name behind this and say, I know that every single dollar is going to where it's supposed to go. You know, you're not giving to a big corporation. You're not giving to a charity that has been questioned before on where the money is going. You are giving this to a small town Iowa boy who received a Purple Heart, who knows how to help veterans and knows how to build a community, and who has recently just launched Valor Fit Gym back home in Des Moines.
That's awesome.
And has now launched a gym, and we got him an ice barrel back last year, you know, to get an ice barrel in there. And, like, you know, there's just fitness is just fitness is the smallest part of what people are donating to. They think it's, you know, putting veterans into fitness. Cool, I'm paying for a gym membership. Yeah, but, like, you're not seeing that person sitting in the dark all by themselves, waiting until 8 a.m. when they can go to that CrossFit class because they have nobody.
Yeah. Community is the most valuable component of our lives, and you're paying for them to get into community.
Yes.
Through fitness.
Yeah.
So people are listening to this, they want to check out The First Time You Ran Across Texas, the documentary, which drops this weekend.
The documentary will be out for sure when this is going live.
Where do you want people to find you?
That's a great question. Betterworld.org on the donation link. Finding me, you find me on Instagram, but this is my no bullshit answer. I've already told somebody this. Like, this isn't about me. Yeah. It's not at all. Like, I have almost 500,000 followers. I don't need more. This run this time is about Valor Fit. And yeah, I just had this conversation. Like, it is, and I truly mean that with every fiber in my body, that, like, what I have right now is more than enough. We just had this conversation where I'm like, I live my life, and, like, I have everything I need. I don't need anything more to make it better. This is about Valor Fit. You know, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. I would love for you guys to watch the documentary and just see what we went through. It's just Matt Johnson. You type in Run Across Texas on YouTube. Type in Run Across Texas, Matt Johnson. You'll find it. It's going to be an hour long. It's a big one. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be absolutely diabolical and unhinged. So please do not judge me. I hope you're listening to this first and not coming here from there, because don't see that, like, gremlin goblin that was out there trying to stay alive. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. Find me, you know, find the video on YouTube. Follow along on YouTube for sure. Yeah. That is where I want people to follow along, because we're gonna potentially tomorrow, we will know this for sure, but we're going to try to drop a YouTube video every single day. That's the plan. So you'll be able to see everything we're going through out there. And then, valorfit.org to learn about Valor Fit.
I can't appreciate you enough for showing up here with your grandfather, him hearing some of these stories for the first time.
Yeah, sorry.
It's pretty cool. But just how you lead your life. Like, you're definitely in service to others and in service to the world around you. And you know that it's not about you. And you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose, and it's greater than you could ever be. And so you're just giving, and going, and learning along the way. So I really enjoyed the conversation, man. I appreciate all you're doing. Like I said, we're going to try to raise over $20,000 from this episode alone. Let's get as many people behind you as we can, and let's make sure that these veterans have communities to go into inside of the fitness space, so they're not alone. They don't deserve to be alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.